My name is Hafiz. I was raised in Iran, in a small town you've probably never heard of. My family were strict Muslims, not just by name but by practice. My father was a respected man in the mosque. My uncles, some were even teachers of the Quran. And me, I memorized the Quran before I was 13. Everyone expected I'd become a sheikh, or maybe an imam one day.
The testimonies featured on this channel are presented as received, reflecting the personal experience and perspectives of the individuals who have generously shared them with us. We encourage our viewers to approach these testimonies with compassion and understanding, as these are personal testimonies of people involved. We also encourage you to always refer to the Holy Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ and his apostles for guidance. You can consider subscribing to the channel to support our ministry. What happens when a devout young Muslim man from Iran dies for 24 hours? What happens when he finds himself not in the paradise he expected, but in a place that shattered everything he believed in? This is not just another story. This is a real, emotional, terrifying, and life-changing journey of a young man named Hafiz. Raised in one of the strictest Islamic communities in Iran, he was passionate about his faith, proud of his Islamic heritage, and certain about what he believed until death came for him. For 24 hours, his body lay lifeless. His family wept. His friends gathered for mourning. But what they didn't know was that Hafiz wasn't gone. He was seeing something beyond this world, something no Quran verse could prepare him for. He encountered a reality that questioned everything. He met a man shining like the sun, with eyes full of fire and love, a man who called himself the way, the truth, and the life. This man was not Muhammad. This man was Jesus. What Jesus revealed to him will break your heart, open your eyes, and leave you speechless. Why would Jesus show up to a Muslim? Why would a devout Islamic youth say Islam is not the way after coming back from death? And why would his own family, the people who once loved him, now try to silence him? This story is not just a testimony. It's a wake-up call. You'll hear the spiritual battle Hafiz went through, the terrifying things he saw in the afterlife, and the moment Jesus told him a truth no one had ever dared to tell him before. This is not fiction. This is not exaggeration. This is a journey of death, truth, and betrayal, with questions that still haunt Hafiz to this day. So wherever you're watching from, be it Iran, Nigeria, Pakistan, the US, or Europe, let us know in the comments, and stay with us to the end, because by the end of this story, you will never see Islam or Christianity the same again. Now, let's hear from Hafiz.
I never thought I'd be telling this story. I never even thought I'd be alive again. It was a normal day, hot, dry, boring. I was on my way to meet a friend when everything went black. I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel my body. It was as if time just stopped. Next thing I knew, I was floating above a crowd. I saw people shouting, panicking, and then I saw something that made my soul freeze. They were carrying my body. It was lifeless, pale, blood dripping from my nose. I thought, this can't be happening. Am I dreaming? Is this the Qiyamah? But no one answered. I screamed. I begged for someone to hear me. Nothing. Then, darkness swallowed me. First, it was just emptiness. But then I began to feel heat. Screams, cries, laughter, evil laughter. And suddenly I was falling, fast, like being pulled into a hole I couldn't escape. I landed, not on ground, but on something soft, something moving. It took me seconds to realize I was standing on bodies. Burning, twisting, screaming bodies. Couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The stench, the sound, the torment, it was too much. And then I heard a voice. Cold, harsh, familiar. Welcome, Hafiz. This is the place for those who believed in a lie. I turned around. It was a creature, no face, just burning eyes. I asked it, what lie? I'm a Muslim. I prayed. I fasted. I read the Quran. And it laughed. Again. It said, you followed the man of the sword, but the man of the cross is the only way. I shouted, no, that's kufr. That's haram. But even my voice sounded weak. Then I saw others, men I'd known. Religious leaders. Famous sheiks. Men from my own family. Screaming. One of them turned to me and said, Run. If you ever get out, run to the truth. I was confused. What truth? Wasn't Islam the truth? Suddenly, a light pierced through the darkness, and I saw him, a man, but not a man. His face shone brighter than the sun, but his eyes were full of sorrow, like he had wept for eternity. He wore white, his hands had scars, his feet too. He called my name, Hafiz. I trembled. He said, "I am Jesus. I came to show you what others won't dare tell you." I cried out, "Why me?" He answered, "Because I love you, because I died for you, and because you are deceived." I couldn't speak. I just fell to my knees. He touched my head and suddenly, I saw visions. I saw the life of Muhammad. I saw war, fear, blood, and the pain of women. Then I saw his life, Jesus, filled with healing, mercy, truth, sacrifice. He said something I'll never forget. Islam teaches obedience, but not salvation. Islam teaches fear, but not love. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I was in shock. I said, "But we were told you were just a prophet." He looked at me with tears and said, "They lied to you. I am more than a prophet." He told me that Islam was a man-made path based on pride and fear, a system that denies the true Son of God. And then he said, "I am sending you back. Not everyone gets this chance. Tell the truth, even if it costs you everything." Then everything turned white. I felt like I was flying again, then falling, and then I gasped. I opened my eyes on a hospital bed. I had been dead for 24 hours. The doctors couldn't explain it. My family called it a miracle, but I knew the truth and I was terrified. I didn't speak for days. How could I tell my father that I saw Muhammad in a place of torment? How could I say Jesus is the only way in a country where that could get you killed? But I couldn't keep quiet, not after what I saw. I told my mother first. She slapped me. I told my uncle. He said I was possessed. Then I told my best friend, and he reported me. The next few weeks became a nightmare. I was locked in a room. My own cousins beat me. They said, "You will not bring shame to this family." I was starved, threatened. I heard my father say, "Better a dead son than a Christian son." And I asked myself, why did Jesus save me only to bring me into this suffering? Why didn't he just keep me in that bright place forever? But one night, as I lay bleeding from a beating, I heard his voice again, not loud, but deep in my heart. He said, "Blessed are you when you are persecuted for my sake. I am with you." And I wept. I knew then this suffering was temporary, but his truth is eternal. You may be asking, what happened next? Did I escape? Did I survive? Did I tell others? Stay with me, because what came next will shake you to your core. The real persecution hadn't even started yet. But before that, I want to ask you, wherever you're watching this from, drop your location in the comments. Let the world see how far this truth can travel. And please, stay with me. The next part of my journey will break your heart and give you hope. Thank you for staying with me. I hope you haven't forgotten where we left off, because this is where my story gets even darker. This is where the persecution really begins. After I told my family and a few friends about what Jesus showed me during those 24 hours I was dead, they turned on me. I wasn't ready for what followed. No one ever is. You see, in Iran, it's not just shameful to leave Islam, it's dangerous. It's considered betrayal, apostasy. And betrayal comes with a price. I remember the night they came for me. 3 of my uncles, my older cousin, and even my father. I was asleep, or at least trying to be, even with the bruises on my ribs from the last beating. I heard the door crash open, and before I could move, they were already in the room. "Get him," my uncle shouted. "Silence the blasphemer," said another. I begged them. I cried, "I'm still your son. I'm still Hafiz." But they didn't see me as a son anymore. They saw me as a traitor. They dragged me to the basement. I was tied to a wooden chair, and for the next 3 nights, they tried to purify me. They recited Quranic verses over me. They beat me with belts. They poured cold water on me. They whispered things like, "Say the Shahada again and this ends. Say you never saw Jesus and we'll stop." But I couldn't. I wouldn't. I had seen Jesus. I had felt his love. I had heard his voice. How could I deny that? So I stayed silent, even when it hurt, even when I felt like dying all over again. I started to ask myself, why me? Why was I given this vision, this truth, only to suffer alone? Did Jesus forget me? One night, when I was left alone in that dark, cold room, barely breathing, I cried silently, tears mixed with blood. And then, I heard him again. "Do not fear, Hafiz. I was rejected too. I was beaten. I was crucified for you." I shook. "Will you still follow me, even in pain?" he asked. And I said, in my broken voice, "Yes, yes, Lord, even in this pain." Something shifted in me that night. I stopped being afraid of dying, because I had already died. And what I saw, what I knew now, was worth more than any comfort this life could offer. After those 3 days, they let me go. Not because they forgave me, but because they thought I was broken. I limped out of that house with nowhere to go. I had no money, no friends, no family, but I had Jesus, and that was enough. For weeks, I lived on the street. I slept behind shops, under bridges, behind mosques. I hid. I was starving. My body was still healing, but my heart, it was on fire. I started to whisper to strangers in the dark alleys, "Do you want to know the truth? Do you want to hear what I saw after death?" Most walked away. Some spat at me, but a few stopped. A young man named Ali was the first. He asked, "What truth?" I told him everything, from the darkness, to the lake of burning souls, to the face of Jesus. He didn't speak, just cried. 2 weeks later, he met me again. He said, "Hafiz, I saw him in my dream. I believe you." That was the beginning. I didn't plan to be a preacher. I didn't even know how to be one. But the fire inside me wouldn't let me stay quiet. Every time I remembered the words Jesus said to me, "Islam teaches fear, not love. It is man-made. I am the only way." I knew I had to speak, even if it cost me everything. But the devil wasn't done with me. One night I got a call. It was my younger sister. She whispered, "Hafiz, they're looking for you. They want you dead. A fatwa has been issued." Fatwa, a legal Islamic ruling calling for my death. For what? For telling the truth. For seeing Jesus. I had 2 choices, run or die. I chose to run. I fled to the border. With no papers, no passport, no money, I crossed into Turkey, hiding in a truck full of onions. Do you know what it's like to hide between crates of rotting vegetables, praying you don't sneeze because if you do, you die? That was me. But I made it. I reached Istanbul, hungry, weak, still limping. I was homeless again, but this time in a foreign land. And then, a miracle happened. A man, tall, quiet, with a kind smile, approached me outside a small cafe. He said, "Are you Hafiz?" I froze. My blood ran cold. Was he sent to kill me? He said, "Jesus sent me to you." Collapsed, in the middle of the street, sobbing. He was a Christian underground worker, part of a secret group helping Muslim background believers like me. He took me in, fed me, gave me a mattress, clean clothes, a New Testament in Farsi. That night, for the first time in months, I slept without fear. I opened the book. I read, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me." And I wept again. This was the Jesus I met. This was the man who saved me from hell, who forgave me, who told me the truth no imam, no sheikh, no Quran ever told me. I knew then I would follow him for the rest of my life. But that life wouldn't be easy, because Iran didn't forget me. They found me. Yes, they found me. Stay with me, because what they did next will shake your soul. They didn't just want me dead. They wanted to erase everything I had said. Even the underground believers helping me. They were in danger. But what the enemy meant for evil, Jesus turned into something powerful. I still remember the sound of the knock on the door. Not a gentle knock, it was hard, aggressive, like fists demanding blood. It was early morning. I had just finished praying. Not the salah I was raised with, but prayer from the heart to Jesus. I froze. My host, the Christian man who had rescued me, looked through the peephole. He whispered, "Hafiz." "It's them." My heart sank. Iranian agents. How did they trace me all the way to Istanbul? He grabbed my hand and said, "Don't speak. Follow me." We ran out the back, through alleys, into an old warehouse. We hid behind crates for hours. I was shaking. What if they caught me? Would they drag me back across the border? Would they silence me forever? I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. Not this time. I whispered under my breath, "Jesus, if I die today, let it be for you." Then I remembered his words to me in the afterlife. "You will be hated by all for my name's sake, but the one who endures to the end will be saved." That gave me courage. We waited until nightfall. Then someone from the underground network brought us disguises, clothes that made me look like a Syrian refugee. I crossed another border that night, illegally, quietly, like a fugitive. But in my heart, I wasn't running away. I was running toward a purpose. From Turkey, I made my way to Greece by boat. That boat was overcrowded. 30 of us squeezed like animals. Some had babies. Some couldn't swim. The waves were violent. Halfway across the sea, the boat began to leak. Panic, screaming. I held on to a rope and began to pray out loud. "Jesus, you walked on water. You calmed storms. Do it again." The storm calmed. I swear to you, the sea went still. A man on the boat turned to me and said, "Who did you pray to?" I looked him in the eyes, and I said, "Jesus, the Son of God, the one who saved me from hell." He stared at me and whispered, "Tell me more." That man gave his life to Christ on that very boat. In the middle of the sea, waves all around. We made it to Greece, then through Europe. I moved from safe house to safe house. At every stop, I told my story. Some laughed, some cried, some believed, some betrayed me, but I kept going. One day, I stood in a small church in Germany. It was my first time inside a Christian church. And when they began to worship, singing songs to Jesus, I fell to my knees, tears streaming down my face. I wasn't just a visitor anymore. I was part of the body, part of the family. I was no longer a Muslim trying to be a Christian. I was his. Later, I was baptized in public. I knew what that meant. It meant death if word got back to Iran. But I wanted the world to know that Hafiz, the boy who memorized the Quran, had given his life to the one who is greater than the Quran, to Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. But I wasn't done. Jesus didn't just save me for me. He saved me to speak, to witness, to testify. So I began to tell my story online, on social media, in underground meetings, in refugee camps. My videos began to spread. Millions watched. Some rejoiced. Some cursed me. Some sent death threats. And one day, my younger sister messaged me. She said, "Brother, I had a dream. I saw you shining like light, and behind you was a man with pierced hands." I trembled. I sent her a Bible in secret. She read the book of John, then Romans, then Acts. And weeks later, she whispered into the phone, "Hafiz, I believe." My sister became a Christian. My mother followed later. Not all of my family, but enough for hope to be born again. And now here I am, telling you my story, risking everything again, because I want you to know, hell is real, Jesus is real, Islam is not the truth, Muhammad is not the way. I saw imams in torment. I saw the torment prepared for those who reject Jesus. And I heard the words no Muslim wants to believe. There is no salvation in Islam, only through me, Jesus. I don't hate Muslims. I love them. I was one, but they are deceived, as I was. And now maybe someone watching this, you're questioning, you're afraid. You feel torn. I know how that feels. But let me tell you something. He is worth it. Jesus is worth the loss. He is worth the rejection. He is worth the beatings. He is worth the blood. Because when you've seen him, when you've heard his voice, you'll know there's no going back. I died for 24 hours, and I came back to tell you the truth. So I beg you, look beyond the religion of your birth. Ask questions. Read the Gospels. Call on Jesus. Say his name, even in a whisper, even in fear, even in secret. Say, Jesus, if you are the truth, show me. And he will. I am Hafiz, once a devout Muslim, now a servant of the one true King, and I will never go back, even if it costs me my life again, because I know what's waiting on the other side of death, and I know who stands at the gates of eternity. It's not Muhammad. It's not the angels of Islam. It's Jesus, the risen one, the living God, the Lamb who was slain, the only way to the Father, Yeshua, Isa al-Masih, Jesus Christ. Thank you for listening to my story. Please don't let it end with me. Share this, tell others, and in the comments, let me know where you're watching from, because this message isn't mine. It's for the world, and maybe, just maybe, it's for you. God bless you. In the name of Jesus. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14 verse 6.